It is now time to begin being exhaustive in our coverage. We will start with breadth rather than depth, and we will start the discussion of breadth by looking at stages and processes. The first thing we need is the playing field upon which our endeavours unfold. This tableau and its colour coding are the basis for all procedural explanations. The procedural elements of PRINCE2 start in the official manual with an introduction at chapter 11. So let's quickly whiz over those preceding 11 chapters to see what they cover. There is the typical list of tables and forwards, etc. Then an introduction that says what Prince is about and does things like define a project in 1.3 according to Prince. The 7 principles are set out in chapter 2 of the official manual and covered exhaustively in this section of the videos. Then there are the 7 themes, which start with an introduction, what is a theme, and then go through business case, organisation, quality, plans, risk, change and progress. Those are the 7 themes. Then there's an introduction to the processes, which we're about to take an overview of. The introduction to the processes talk about the journey from starting up a project through to closing a project via initiating, controlling, managing product delivery and managing stage boundaries. There are 7 processes. Chapter 19 is the tailoring chapter and talks about the difference between tailoring Prince to a project and embedding Prince in an organisation. And then Appendix A is the product description outlines or templates. There are 26 templates running from benefits review plan through to work package. Appendix B discusses governance. Appendix C sets out the 9 roles and responsibilities that a PRINCE2 project requires to be resourced in some fashion. Appendix D extends the idea of the planning theme by talking to us about the product-based planning technique. Appendix E provides a set of questions to ask to determine whether Prince is being well applied, in other words, to perform a health check. And then Appendix G is the glossary. Starting up a project, otherwise known as SU, is a pre-project process of 6 activities whose purpose is to ensure we have an initial but reliable project definition covering the project's business case and the intended result. The intended result is called the project's product description in the list of document templates. The results of SU are the input for the decision by the project board on whether to invest in qualifying the business case sufficiently to make a fully committed decision on benefits versus cost. SU is essentially plan the planning. Directing a project is chapter 13 of the official manual, and this describes the activities of the project board. The project board's first major activity is to examine the outputs of the SU process to decide whether to sanction the initiation stage. DP's 4 other activities are also all decision-based. They're all focused on whether and on how the project should continue based on an examination of the outputs from stages and exception situations. For anticipated decisions, i.e. at the end of stages, rather than exception situations, the outputs reviewed by the project board are things like end stage reports and eventually the end project report. Appendix A, document templates 8 and 9. The project board also examine new stage plans and revised project plans, both covered by template 16. The project board reviews the business case, template 2. They review revised risk profiles, template 25, and also organisation charts and other factors which have no template. The first significant decision of the project board is the activity to authorise initiation, which occurs between the starting up a project process and the initiation stage. The decision to commit the resources needed to conduct the initiation stage marks the official start of a PRINCE2 project. The initiation stage is dominated by the 6 activities of the initiating a project process, as described in chapter 14. of the official manual. The initiation stage is the first of a minimum of 2 stages. Since it is a stage, it will be brought to an end by 4 of the 5 activities of the Managing Stage Boundaries process. Stage Boundaries has an activity for normal or abnormal stage end, only one of which will be used in any transition from current to next stage. So called because they deliver the technical or specialist outputs of our subject matter expert team members. During a specialist delivery stage, the project manager follows the guidance of controlling a stage, chapter 15 in the official manual, which describes, amongst other things, how to delegate technical work packages to the specialists who create the project's products. These team members and team managers perform their discipline-specific activities such as welding or graphic design, bricklaying or software testing, as well as 3 PRINCE2 activities within the managing product delivery process. The dialogue between the project manager and team members and team managers maintains control over the allocation of work and the reporting of achievement. It may be that the first specialist stage is also the last, but even if it is not, there will always be a last specialist stage. And again, its internal structure will use the controlling a stage and managing product delivery processes to conduct the specialist or technical work. The last specialist delivery stage will end with 4 of the 5 activities of closing a project. Closing a project and managing stage boundaries are very similar. They bring stages to a close, either as planned or prematurely, and they prepare for whatever is next. Now let's do that all over again, but at a lower level of detail in the next video. The core of a project is the journey from starting up a project to closing a project. Even at a summary level, there is much to cover, so we will do this in 3 bites. The first 2 will cover the setup and execution of a well-behaved project, and the third will cover the exception handling arrangements. The start point of every project is a mandate produced by some members of either the corporate or the program management. It will be produced by members of corporate management for freestanding projects and by members of program management for projects grouped for program strategic benefits. The mandate may be in the form of, for example, a corridor chat, or it may be a document. It might be at the level of, I have an idea that we need to talk about, or it might be so fully researched as to remove the need for any starting up a project activity, and possibly even the initiation stage. The mandate is the triggering input. The official manual says that since it is created before PRINCE2 is in use, its content and format are undefined. Whatever and however it triggers the project, it must as a minimum be capable of allowing those involved to appoint the project executive and the project manager. It must also support exec and project manager to start to engage a team appropriate to the results required. The desired results and the intended approach to achieve them are described in as much detail as compatible with being swift and cheap, while we don't yet know how well this idea stacks up. The results of SU's 6 activities is a team and a plan for the initiation stage. The initiation stage enables the project board to answer the question, is it okay to go ahead and prepare the description of the project's business justification? We estimate it will take this much effort, this much time to properly answer how attractive and achievable are the project's objectives and desired outcomes. The question is asked at directing a project activity, authorize initiation. That's chapter 13, section 4, activity 1, or 13.4.1, or DP1. If approved, the initiation stage starts. The first action of the initiation process within the initiation stage is the 4 activities to create the strategies for risk, configuration management, quality, and communications. And the 5th activity creates the project controls. In many projects, this will be by adopting the organization's standard approaches, and so will not represent a lot of work. We know from SU's work what we are to produce and the approach we will take. When we add the control regime to be imposed, we should be able to create a project plan and express the entire, if perhaps only high-level schedule and budget within it. A PRINCE2 project plan is a mandatory plan aimed at communicating with the project board the dates on which results will be delivered. Stage boundaries reports on conduct of the stage just closing. Armed with the project plan, we have details of the project's timescales and costs, with which we can update the outline business case that came from starting up a project. When we have the strategies, the controls, the plan, the stage report, and the next stage plan, then we can provide this information to the project board to decide if first the project is viable based on the project initiation document, or PID, which is described in Appendix A20 of the official manual. And secondly, we can decide if the stage plan is sufficient to authorise the upcoming stage. We saw just now how the mandate triggers starting up a project, and if authorised, we then perform the activities of the initiation stage. And the initiation stage results in the production of a decision support package called the Project Initiation Document, or PID or PID, as described in Appendix A, Template A20. The PID is a collection of many elements, like the A1 Benefits Review Plan, and is accompanied by things like the A9 End Stage Report and the A16 Next Stage Plan. The PID and the Next Stage Plan are presented to the project board for two decisions in two activities. Authorise the project considers the PID, while Authorise a Stage or Exception Plan considers the first delivery stage's stage plan. The official manual describes these as two separate activities and explicitly makes the point that they may be as informal as the participants prefer. Implementation in reality is pretty likely to result in both authorise the project and authorise the stage being a single conversation, and probably a minuted meeting. Let's pick up now from what happens when we get a positive result from the authorise a stage decision. This authorises the project manager to start the dialogue that delegates work packages to team members or team managers, who then receive the work package. The team member then conducts the technical work to create the results to quality specification, and also to create progress reports called checkpoint reports and described in Appendix A at template number 3. Checkpoint reports report on tasks performed. Checkpoint reports allow the project manager to review work status, which in turn allows the project manager to review stage status, which in turn may require corrective actions, so delegated work packages may be amended. As a result of receiving checkpoint reports, periodically the project manager will create highlight reports to be sent to the project board. On receipt of highlight reports, the project board may choose to apply direction to the project, resulting in corrections, even to the extent of stopping the project if they feel that that is appropriate. The team activity will create the results that are to be delivered by this stage and raise notification via configuration management to inform the project manager's day-to-day routine. That routine includes several potential actions, one of which is to delegate further work packages within the current stage plan's scope. Review of stage status can result in the allocation of the next set of activities, or trigger planning of the next stage, or trigger normal project closure. Let's assume for a second that the current delivery stage is not the last. In this case, by following activity described in the Managing a Stage Boundary, the project management team will prepare the decision support information the project board will need to approve the project's continuation and the next stage's start. Executing the stage just ending and planning the stage about to start generates information to update the project plan, risk register and business case, and possibly also the project management team memberships, assigned duties, reporting lines and report timings. The required controls and management strategies may all be updated, i.e. we may update the PID. All is summarised in an end stage report, and the whole lot is passed to the project board to decide whether the project remains viable and desirable. If so, then the cycle of delegate, receive, create, deliver, note completion and review stage status restarts, with the project manager taking control of the stage on a day-to-day basis, handing out work packages and noting when they are complete in order to delegate further work packages, and when the supply of work packages within the current stage plan is exhausted, starting the plan next delivery stage, update project plan, report on closing stage, and ask the project board for permission to start again, and so we go around a tight cycle within the stage and a larger cycle for each stage. When eventually review of day-to-day status shows that the end of the last stage is approaching, then the activities of the closing a project process are triggered. They confirm that results expected from managing product delivery have been achieved, delivered and approved by their approval authority. We make sure products are received and accepted by operations and maintenance personnel, and that project staff are released from project duties. Finally, an end project report is created using the template in Appendix A, and the project board's final activity within the scope of PRINCE2 is closing a project. The discussion so far has covered situations when project achievements are close enough to plan that only minor day-to-day corrections are required. On occasions, events arise or risks are revealed whose impacts are or would be outside of the project manager's day-to-day authority. When a risk or issue arises, it is logged and examined. If it is inside the project manager's authority, corrective actions are taken. If it is outside of the project manager's remit, an exception report using Appendix A10 is raised to the project board to consider. They may consider the matter acceptable within current arrangements, or they may amend current arrangements within their authority, both of which result in corrective actions. Corrective actions amend, delete or add work packages within the current stage's scope. Alternatively, the project board may ask for a plan to react to the new context, or they may close the project prematurely. Taking each in turn, when an exception report shows that the current stage will not complete to its current stage plan, plus or minus agreed tolerances, then the activities of managing a stage boundary may be used to bring a premature close to the current stage and create a new stage plan. Also, probably a revised project plan, revised business case and revised risk profiles, and perhaps revised role assignments and responsibilities. The stage is summarised in an end stage report, and the net result is that the project board consider a revision to the project initiation information on which they authorise the project, and a stage plan on which they may authorise a replacement stage. Exception plans always run from the point of exception to the end of the current stage. The project board may decide that the project should end here and now. The exception report or the results of exception planning may trigger the premature closure of the project through closing a project's activity description for prepare premature closure, which results in checking the status of handed over products and maybe reclaiming some, releasing staff, reporting on project performance, and then closing the project. All of the arrows we have seen linking activities are in fact flows of information and control. Let's now, in the next video, look at the complete set. The project will create many products. Imagine, for example, that the project's goals are to open a new bakery. Some products will be ovens and advertising materials. Others will include recruited and trained staff, contracts with suppliers, and installed mixing machines. Or, if the project is a company rebranding and image makeover, then project products may be a corporate logo, new product names, staff uniforms, and customer-focused behaviours. In both my examples here, and every real PRINCE2 project, then as well as the specialist technical products that are the specifics of the project's objectives and desired outcomes, will be the PRINCE2 management products required to exercise project control through the use of PRINCE2's 40 activities. 26 of the products are given templates in Appendix A. Others, such as role descriptions and follow-on action recommendations, or the project mandate, are named and discussed, but not defined in Appendix A. The 26 templates fall into three broad categories: baselines, records, and reports. Here are three important definitions. Baselines are those that define aspects of the project and once approved are subject to change control. All of them except the team plan are baselined by approval from the project board in a DP activity. Records are dynamic information collections that are continuously maintained to record current status. And reports are a snapshot of status at a specific point in time. So, for example, the configuration item records record the status of the project's products. So, for example, our bakery's mixing machine may be purchased, then received, then awaiting installation, etc. The configuration item records record the status as projects travel through their life cycle of work from not started, work in progress, ready for test and then maybe ready for rework, otherwise ready for integration, and finally ready for delivery and delivered. A product status account, on the other hand, is a snapshot in time of the current status of a collection of configuration item records. For example, all the products allocated to a particular team or stage. These records are created and used by the project's various role holders. Let's take a look at who those role holders are. We mentioned their titles earlier, and later we will go into their duties in definitive detail. There are 9 roles whose duties are explained in the official manual. What we cover now is definitive and important for the exam, but it isn't yet complete. It's enough for now so that we may appreciate each role's participation in our conversations. The detailed responsibilities and actions of each role will be covered when we get to the organisation theme. The official manual says the project board is accountable to corporate or programme management for the success of the project and has the authority to direct the project within the remit set by corporate and programme management and documented in the project mandate. The project board is responsible for communication between the project management team and stakeholders like corporate and programme management who are external to that team. The project board is made up of 3 individual roles. The executive is ultimately responsible for the project. Supported by the senior user and the senior supplier, the executive's role is to ensure that the project is focused throughout its life on achieving its objectives and delivering a product that will achieve the forecast benefits. The executive has to ensure that the project gives value for money, ensuring a cost-conscious approach to the project that balances the demands of the business, the users, and the suppliers. Throughout the project, the executive is responsible for the business case. And the manual says, in bold, perhaps the only time it uses bold, the project board is not a democracy controlled by votes. The executive is the ultimate decision maker and is supported in the decision making by the senior user and senior supplier. There is only one vote on the project board, the executives. The senior user, or perhaps senior users, is or are responsible for specifying the needs of those who will use the project's products, for liaison with the project management team, and for monitoring that the solution will meet the needs within the constraints of the business case in terms of quality, functionality and ease of use. The role represents the interests of all those who will use the project's products, including operations and maintenance. Those for whom the products will achieve an objective, or those who will use the products to deliver the benefits. The senior user role commits user resources and monitors products against requirements. The role may require more than one person to cover all user interests, but to be effective should not be split between too many people. The senior users specify the benefits and are eventually held to account by demonstrating to corporate or program management that the forecast benefits, which were the basis for the project's approval, have actually been realised, a duty likely to require a commitment beyond the end of the project. The senior supplier represents the interests of those designing, developing, facilitating, procuring and implementing the project's products. The role is accountable for the quality of products delivered by suppliers and is responsible for the technical integrity of the project's products. If necessary, more than one person may be required to represent the suppliers. Depending on the particular customer-supplier environment, for example under a contract rather than an internal department, the customer may also wish to appoint an independent person or group to carry out assurance on the supplier's products, for example to verify liability for staged payments. The project board members' accountability for specifying and overseeing may be beyond their technical skills or their available time. Typically, project board members may delegate some or all of their project assurance tasks to individuals with the required time and skill. The project board may also delegate some or all decisions regarding changes to a change authority, based on the scale, complexity, importance and risk of the project, project board members' expertise and available time. Typically, partial responsibility is delegated to a change board, for example for changes under some defined cost or time impact. A change board may comprise project assurance and/or the project manager. The project manager has the authority to run the project on a day-to-day basis on behalf of the project board within the constraints laid down by them. The constraints are expressed by the 6 forms of tolerance: time, cost, scope, risk, quality and benefits. The project manager's prime responsibility is to ensure that the project produces the required products within the tolerances. The project manager is also responsible for the project producing a result capable of achieving the benefits defined in the business case. If not delegated to a separate person or function, project support is provided by the project manager. The support role includes maintaining project files, document control and configuration management, collecting performance data, updating plans and making forecasts, administering project board meetings, quality reviews and quality records, as well as providing expertise in planning and control tools or risk analysis tools and techniques. The team manager's responsibility is to ensure production of products allocated to them by the project manager to an appropriate quality in an agreed and set timescale and at a cost acceptable to the project board. The team manager role reports to and takes direction from the project manager. The PRINCE2 project's heartbeat runs according to the pattern of activities described in the 7 processes. Those activities are designed to ensure that the project maintains a focus on the 7 themes that healthy projects perform well and are described in our next 2 videos. Each of the 7 themes has a syllabus section, a chapter of the official manual, a set of videos in this course, and some detailed work file content to provide everything you need for success in the exams. For now, let's survey the themes enough for some orientation as provided by Table 3.1 on page 17 of the official manual. The business case answers, why are we doing the project? A PRINCE2 project starts with an idea which may have value for the organisation. The business case theme describes how the activities of the processes, particularly starting up a project, initiating a project and managing a stage boundary, develop the idea's description into an investment proposition whose viability can be judged. The business case theme ensures the project management team maintains focus on the organisation's objectives throughout the project. The organisation theme answers the question, who? The organisation sponsoring the project needs to allocate the work to managers who will be responsible for the work and steer the work through to completion. Projects are often cross-functional, so the normal functional line management structures may not be suitable. The organisation theme describes what roles and responsibilities are required in the temporary PRINCE2 project management team, how the roles might be split or combined, and how they might be assigned to manage the project effectively. The quality theme looks at what or how good. An initial project idea is often only understood as a broad outline. The quality theme explains how the activities contribute to development of a shared understanding by all participants of the quality attributes of the product to be delivered, and then how project management team members will ensure that these requirements are subsequently delivered. The quality theme links to and relies upon understanding of the strengths of the project-based planning technique and the use of product description templates, the use of the configuration item records in configuration item identification, and product lifespans across quality planning, quality control, and quality assurance. The fourth theme is plans and planning, which answer the question how in terms of actions, how much in terms of resources, when in terms of scheduling, and are thus the basis of estimating. A PRINCE2 project proceeds on the basis of a series of approved plans. The plans theme explains the relationship between the mandatory project plan, the required stage plans, and the optional team plans, and how the breadth and depth of each is matched to the different needs of personnel in different management levels. PRINCE2 adopts a product-based approach to planning, which aids making strong links to product quality specifications. Note for the exam that product-based planning is a key technique, while activity-based planning is not considered a key technique by the examiners. Plans are the focus for communication and control throughout the project. There are 7 themes, and so far we've seen 4 of them. Fifth is risk. Projects typically entail more risk than stable operational activity. The risk theme defines risk and the steps of the risk management process that the activities of the processes embody. The theme explains how PRINCE2 integrates uncertainty into plans and manages risk in the project environment. Sixth is the change theme. The change theme describes how PRINCE2 assesses and acts on issues which may impact on any aspect of the project's baseline of agreed plans and completed products. In PRINCE2, issues may be any of unanticipated general problems, requests for change, instances of quality failure, or questions raised by anyone at any time. It answers the question, what's the impact? And sometimes the answer is not much. In those circumstances, we'd like the cost of the change activities to be low through use of informal methods. The last of the themes is the progress theme, which asks, where are we going, and should we carry on? Progress theme explains the decision-making processes for selecting stage boundaries, defining tolerance limits, approving plans, monitoring achievements, using the registers, and the process to trigger escalations for events outside of tolerance from planned performance. Monitoring and reporting status maintains the reliability of plans as a basis to determine whether and how the project should proceed. The roles, processes and themes embrace 7 principles as described in Chapter 2 and our next set of topics. Chapter 2 of the official manual covers the 7 principles, and the following treatment here is comprehensive. We shan't need to look at the principles again, other than to mention them each time they occur in context. Chapter 2 of the manual tells us PRINCE2 is a method-based approach, which we can use with confidence on projects of any scale, type, organisation, geography and culture because of its universal and proven principles. The manual says that it is not the use of the processes and the document templates that makes a project a PRINCE2 project. A project properly implements PRINCE2 when it follows the 7 principles, and it properly implements it when it follows them with pragmatic adherence to their spirit. 100% slavish use or just lip service are both inappropriate. The principles start with the business case. A PRINCE2 project requires a justifiable reason to start. that remains valid throughout the life of the project, or the project should be stopped and the resources reallocated to more worthwhile activity. The justification may evolve, but must remain valid, and the project must evolve to match. Even if the project's trigger is compulsory, such as legislative compliance, a valid justification of the results sought and the approach taken is still necessary. The justification is documented in a business case that follows corporate standards, is approved by the project board and subject to change control. The business case drives all decision making to ensure that the project is always aligned to the business objectives and the benefits being sought. Sound use of this principle improves the consistency, integration and total value of the portfolio of corporate projects. Principle number 2 is about learning from experience. Project teams use previous experience, or lessons, which are sought, recorded and acted upon throughout the life of the project. Lessons are not learned until observations and records made provoke changed behaviours and different attitudes in project participants. Because projects bring together people to work for a short period of time on novel problems in unfamiliar relationships, project success is more challenging than typically encountered by line managers and functional units. Previous similar activities often provide lessons that could be applied to planning and executing of a new project and its stages. The project team should always look for lessons from external and internal sources. As the project progresses, the team should continue to learn from their own and other sources of experience. The project management team must include their own experience in all reports and reviews and implement improvements during the project. When a stage or project closes, lessons should be passed on. It is the responsibility of everyone involved within the project to seek and apply lessons and not wait for somebody else to provide them. That's the first 2 principles. Let's now look at the next 2. Principle number 3 is based on the organisation structure. Projects are always delivered by people, some assigned full-time and others part-time, normally from across a variety of functions and thus skills and organisations and thus cultures. Success depends on the right people in the right roles who know what is expected of them and their colleagues, agree to it and have the skills needed. The organisation principle requires that roles and responsibilities and reporting lines be defined and agreed, that harmonise the interests and priorities of the sponsors, the users and the suppliers, and that these are defined and agreed between role holders. Principle number 4 is that a PRINCE2 project is planned, monitored and controlled on a stage-by-stage basis to provide management with decision points at key events. A stage is a defined period of time and other constraints during which the project management team has authority within defined tolerances, as we'll see in the 5th principle. At each stage boundary, the project's business case and plans and risks are reassessed for viability and a conscious decision made to stop or proceed. The choice made during initiation of how many stage-based reassessments are conducted and when they are conducted allows project control to be matched to the complexities of the result, the skills of the participants, the risks involved and the project's priority. More shorter stages give more control but impose more overhead costs to prepare decision support materials and hold the decision-making project board meetings. A PRINCE2 project always has an initiation stage and at least one delivery stage. The use of stages enables creation and occasional refresh of a long-term outline project plan, plus creation of short-term detailed stage and team plans. Tiered plans avoid wasting effort on attempts to plan in detail that is beyond a sensible planning horizon. Each tier of plans matches a level of detail and duration that is manageable and foreseeable and appropriate to a level of management within the organisation. Our next 2 principles starts with number 5, management by exception. The management by exception principle supports efficient use of management time and places decision making at the correct level. Management by exception. 1. Defines 6 axes of variation in project performance, being time, cost, scope, risk, quality and benefits. Second, sets limits on the authority delegated between each management level over the allowable variation from baseline plan within each of the 6 axes. Variation includes actual or even suspected or outlooked status. Third, management by exception requires that we establish an assurance regime to give each management level confidence that results and reports from below are an accurate match to reality. Fourth, management by exception imposes an escalation process when an actual or possible variation is beyond a tolerance limit, and so triggers the escalation of an exception to the next higher level of management for a decision on how to respond to the tolerance threat. PRINCE divides management control into 4 or 5 levels of authority. At the top is corporate or program management, who delegate project tolerances to the project board. Next, the project board direct the project and delegate stage tolerances to the project manager. Third, the project manager, managing a stage, delegates work package tolerance to 4 or 5 the team members or team managers delivering a work package's product-based results. Delegation of authority from one management level to the next must set limits, both plus and minus, on the allowable variation in completion date, resource usage, conformance to specification, inclusion of required elements, degree of risk, and ability to deliver benefits. Of the 6 tolerances, 4 of them, time, cost, scope, risk, are managed at project stage and work package level. Quality is applied at the level of the project's overall result, and each work package's included individual product descriptions, while benefits tolerance is managed at project level through updating of the business case and the project board's reassessment of the benefits to be received. Principle number 6 is a focus on products. Projects only exist to deliver products that fulfill stakeholder expectations in accordance with the business justification. Projects are output, not activity oriented, which means that a common understanding of the products required is defined in terms of the quality criteria against which they will be individually approved. An approach based on defined products with agreed quality criteria avoids acceptance disputes, avoids rework, avoids uncontrolled change, known as scope creep, and avoids user dissatisfaction, and aids correct estimation of the effort required from all parties for the acceptance activities. The set of products to be produced is agreed before activity to create them starts. The project's products define the project's scope and dictate the activities to be scheduled and budgeted, tracked and reported. Each product is defined in a product description that describes the product's purpose, composition, derivation, format, quality criteria, and quality testing methods. The product description's content is therefore a sound basis for estimating effort and resource requirements. It's a sound basis for determining the dependencies and scheduling the activities that create or acquire the products that are in the project's scope. The last principle is the 7th. The whole of the official manual's longest chapter, Chapter 19, is dedicated to tailoring. The PRINCE2 Project Management Methods official manual is written to apply universally to every project. This means the total set of guidance provided is inappropriate to any specific project until tailored to the project's actual environment, type, organisation, geography or culture, size, complexity, importance, capability and risk. Embedding is the adoption of PRINCE by the organisation. It's a one-off exercise. Tailoring, on the other hand, is the application of the embedded method to a project's specific characteristics. Neither a robotic application of the whole manual nor a heroic rejection of every element of guidance is appropriate. Instead, the method's elements must be selected and emphasized or de-emphasized to suit each project. Tailoring requires the project manager and the project board to make decisions about how the method will be applied to align organizational standards, everyone's normal business duties, and the project's specific activities to integrate with the business processes and services such as human resource management, financial control, or procurement services that are in normal use in the organization. Tailoring must balance frequency and formality of information flows. For example, do we use documents or just hold discussions? The review and decision-making processes. For example, are they via formalised meeting or not? With the cost of those controls and the project scale, complexity, importance, capability and risk. Project controls are normally defined in the initiation stage and confirmed or amended at each stage boundary. Tailoring is thus typically described in the project's project initiation document as created in initiating a project and amended in managing stage boundaries.